Evet efendim, küreselleşme trendinin yerini ulusalcı politikalara bıraktığı ve Trump'ın gelişiyle beraber ticaret savaşlarının başladığı bu dönemde otomotiv sektörüne yönelik derin bir dönüşüm sürecinin içinden geçiyoruz hep birlikte. Peki bu son derece küresel bir tedarik ve üretim zincirine sahip olan sektörü neler bekliyor? Artık jeopolitik perspektifler olmadan ticari kararların alınması gerçekten mümkün değil. Küresel dinamiklerin değiştiği bu dönemde otomotiv endüstrisi sadece ekonomik değil, aynı zamanda stratejik bir duruş sergilemek zorunda. Öyleyse bu dönüşümün sektör olan etkilerini ve gelecekte bizi neler beklediğini daha derinlemesine incelemeye ne dersiniz? Yeni Dünya Düzeninde Otomotiv'de Jeopolitik panelinde enerji arz güvenliği, mobilitenin jeopolitik yansımaları, yeşil dönüşümün küresel rekabeti üzerindeki etkileri ve küresel güç dengelerinin mobiliteyi nasıl etkilediğini ele alacağız. Bu paneli sevgili Mehmet Öğütçü modere edecek. Kendisini ve değerli panel konuşmacılarımızı alkışlarınızla sahneye davet etmek istiyorum. 30 dakika.
And Bo Anderson, we want to have Bo Anderson here as well. We can't have this panel without you, Bo. No. Okay. What a day. And I would like to thank Forbes and also Sustainable Mobility Initiative for bringing us together here, because it has been a brainstorming for all of us. And we often talk about the future, but when we talk about the future, it's too far-fetched. 2050 decarbonization strategy, then we have 2023 Turkey vision, which failed in its objectives in large measure. Then you have China's 2049 peaceful rise strategy. These are all 20 years, 30 years down the road. But what we are interested is today and the near future, because things are changing so fast in the world. The name of the game is speed, because things are happening much faster than before. In the energy industry where I used to work and still work, we always thought about 10, 15 years time leads, time space, whereas things are happening in 2-3 years. So if you don't make strategic decisions now and over the next 5 years, you will be determined whether you are going to lead, you are going to follow, or you are going to fail. Therefore, thinking about the future in a country like Turkey, where we are so much focused on short-term crisis, fluctuations, is a blessing. And we would like to thank the organizers for taking the initiative and asking us to think and speculate about the future. Future direction is not only for us here, it gives a sense of direction for all the players, global players, what this country, what this sector is thinking about. I think China, we mentioned a lot about China, is the only country taking future seriously compared to all others. I used to work as a diplomat in Beijing, and as OECD executive and British Gas, I went there so often, I speak Mandarin, to try to understand the mindset of how Chinese operate. It's no longer a global factory of production. China is a huge power to reckon with, and in terms of nominal GDP, China is right now second largest power in the world. In my opinion, it's the largest power to reckon with. Why? Because if you include Taiwan, Hong Kong, and also countries like Singapore, Indonesia, Malaysia, where the Chinese families run the economies and dominate the political scene, this Greater China economic area is the world's largest. That's the reason why Trump, he's not stupid, he's not crazy. Behind him, there is a very powerful coalition of groups in defense industry, energy, technology, and also capital. That's the reason why US is pushing very hard now on China, abandoning Europe, useless bunch of people. Do you agree, Bo? Health. And also telling its partners in the Middle East and the Gulf, look, I don't want to waste my time here. My real objective is to focus on China, which is going to be my competitor, not today, but in the next 10, 15 years. That's the reason why he increased the tariff rates against China 125%. Of course, I think 2 days ago in Geneva, they brought it down to 10%. Negotiations are going on for the next 90 days. That's the reason why US is asking American companies, Japanese and European companies in China to get out, bring their supply chains to India, Vietnam, Cambodia, Indonesia, and perhaps Turkey. So, but also the topic that we have today, mobility, China is the world leader. No doubt about this. 32 million vehicles they manufacture. What about the US? 11 million. What about Germany, which used to be the real power to reckon with in the automotive industry? It's only 4 million. Turkey, on the 14th rank, I think, is around 1.4 million. But in terms of technology, in terms of the critical ingredients that are needed for manufacturing car, it's no longer oil or CNG. Now, what powers the automotive industry is the batteries. And for the batteries, you need critical minerals like lithium, Chile, cobalt, Democratic Republic of Congo, nickel, and also rare earth elements. And China there is like the Saudi Arabia of oil. They control between 60 to 70% of these critical elements for the automotive industry. Europeans are lagging behind in large measure. Japanese probably more or less stabilized. South Korea is emerging again. But there are other regional producers like Indonesia, like Mexico, like Thailand, becoming major manufacturer of car industry. It's also not about the metals, and it's about connectivity. It's about technological supremacy, and it's also about trade. Because if you have restrictive trade regime, if you have investment flows in different direction, ESG, ethical investment, becoming quite critical in this process, then the geopolitical tensions, all these factors will affect the way people will be transported, the way goods will be moving around, and so automotive industry is not alone. You cannot look only automotive industry in isolation from other sectors. They are all interlinked. We are all interlinked. In the New World Order, that's the title of our, I think, session, I think we have a new world order in the making. How? Because when the Cold War ended, Berlin Wall collapsed, we thought that a new world order is emerging. It's been decades. It hasn't happened. There was a total chaotic system prevailing in the world. But right now, you like it or not, Trump is making an effort. You may dislike him, you may love him, or his measure instruments might attract so much criticism, but he has a vision. Not only don't think about Trump as a person, Trump and the coalition behind him, there is a vision. And this vision has geopolitical implications, technology, military, trade, investment, climate change. And he asked his people in different departments to remove any reference to climate change. He removed USAID, and they also dismantled US Secretary of Education. We don't need that. We need to focus. He forged coalition with India, almost as big as China in terms of population, but also it's going to be the second or third largest power in the world by 2035 or 40, depending on how you calculate nominal GDP or purchasing power parity. And so we are lucky, we are fortunate to have two distinguished panelists with us. And without further ado, I would like to turn them, if you allow me, first to Bo Andersson.
Yes.
Bo, no, I have to tell who you are.
Who I am. It's difficult.
He's a legendary figure in automotive industry. He will not accept this perhaps, but he started in General Motors. Then he moved to Russia, you know Lada, and he's the guy who he transformed the Russian automotive industry with support from Putin. Is he going to join us?
Nope.
No? But he's coming to Turkey probably on Thursday.
Yes.
And he was also in Uzbekistan, where he transformed Uzbek car industry. Now we would like to hear his perspective, how the world is evolving in automotive sector, but in particular, where we sit today, where Turkey will be in this picture. Because Turkey is in the global supply chain a very critical country, but also manufacturer at the same time. Are we going to be lost in this game, or we have a role to play?
So thank you, Mehmet, for that great introduction. Most of my career I spent at General Motors in Detroit. So I was the first foreigner being part of top management. And I was managing global purchasing and supply chain with a budget of 125 billion. This is when GM made 10 million vehicles a year. And that's my connectivity to Turkey. So I will try to answer 3 questions today. How important is Turkey in the global automotive? Secondly, what are the trends? What are challenges? What are opportunities? And what will stay the same? And third, where to play? Where to play if you're an OEM, where to play if you're a supplier, and where to play if you are government. So first, I like numbers. So last year was the economic factor of automotive industry in Turkey 50 billion, 100 billion, or 150 billion? Do I have 50 billion? Do I have 150 billion? The answer is all 3 are right. Let me explain. So if I take 1.24 million vehicles sold, it's roughly 50 billion US dollars. If you take a value of 1.5 million lira or $38,000. If I take 100 billion, it's everything with gas station, car washes, insurance, rental cars, all side businesses. And how do I get to 150 billion? I take the 25 million registered vehicles in Turkey, driving 21,700 kilometers at the cost of 46 US cents. So Turkey automotive is relevant. It's important. The second question, what are the challenges? Today the challenges are tariffs, it's emission standards, it is EV subsidies, and it is more well-educated consumers. I can say that today's customers that buy cars, they are much more educated than 10 years ago or 20 years ago. What are opportunities? I've been in automotive 40 years, and most people say automotive is boring, it's old tech, it's not that relevant. But globally, automotive is $15 trillion in revenue. all included. And opportunities are that automotive will continue to grow. Global automotive will grow 3 to 4% in the next 10 years, every year. In Turkey, it will grow 4 to 5%, according to government data. So growth is one opportunity. New technology is another opportunity. New strategic corporations. BYD is coming to Turkey. Chery is coming to Turkey. And export is important. And I would say last year, export from Turkey was 37 billion US dollars. That's 14% of the total export of Turkey of 262 billion. So it's relevant. What will stay the same? I'm originally Swedish. Now I'm half Swedish, half American, half Russian. And I've been in Turkey since 1981. I've been in Turkey as a businessman since 1987. And I also had the opportunity to manage Yasakia, Turkey, with 7,000 people in Kusuluk, Mudanya, and Gemlik. So I know a little bit about Turkey. So what will stay the same? First, geographical location, strategic geographical location. Secondly, a very effective production base and labor base. Third, what have impressed me most is a very skilled workforce, very skilled people. And fourth, it is the opportunities to do export. So now, where should we play? If you're an OEM, very easy to say, but produce vehicles that people want to buy with the right technology that are affordable. Make sure you have the right strategic partners and make sure you can export. If you're a supplier, last year, suppliers from Turkey exported $8 billion of goods, and it's expected to be 15 billion year 2030. As a supplier, it's all about quality, cost, and delivery, and to be competitive on a landed cost basis in Turkish lira. So to be competitive on a landed cost basis, including transportation, in Turkish lira. My last point, over the last 15 years, I worked a lot with governments. My first 12 years, I was an officer, so I was a government employee. Today's governments globally are much better educated. They are more hungry. And what I would like the governments to do, even in Turkey, the first one is difficult. First is to protect the local industry, but not giving consumers a disadvantage. So protect the local industry with whatever protection you can do, but still making sure that consumers get a competitive advantage.
Yes.
Secondly, to continue to support technology. And third, make sure that foreign investments will come to Turkey. And last, to support export. So I'm a little bit dry. I have a little bit of Asperger's, but only 5%, they say. So I think I try to answer the questions. Turkey is very important in automotive. There are challenges for opportunities. And third, if you're an OEM, you need to ask where you want to play. If you're a supplier, you need to ask where you need to play. And if you're government, the most important thing, if you want to have a competitive local industry, you must support them in one way or another, but not to the disadvantage of the consumer.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, for. I have one question for you, burning question, which many people, I'm sure, wonder what the answer could be. You have 1 minute for this as well. The Chinese, you said it will be coming.
Yep.
Build Your Dream, BYD,
Yes.
and Chery will be coming. Is it a good news for Turkey, or it might hamper the growth of Turkish car industry, then vis-a-vis also European markets?
It depends. I have seen BYD coming to Uzbekistan. It was mainly a good thing, because I would say that the game plan was clear. I've seen BYD coming to Brazil. It was more a challenge. So I would say BYD and Chery coming to Turkey is an opportunity, but also a challenge. the ground rules must be very clear. BYD is a very, very strong company, and I think that the partner or the government need to be clear what is important, what's not important.
I see. Well, let me turn to our second panelist.
Teşekkürler.
Everybody knows him, Bahadır Kaleağası, and he is also a household name in Brussels, looking after EU matters and geopolitical matters. He is also a digital age business diplomat, if I may say so. Bahadır, based on your experience and knowledge and networks in European Union, how do you think Turkish car industry will be interacting with the European markets? Because most of the manufacturers, European manufacturers, are already in Turkey, but now we have the Koreans, Japanese, and Chinese coming in. And how do you think we can be managing the challenges coming from the European Union?
Thank you, Mehmet. Since you asked the question in English, should I carry on in English or I don't know.
Talk in Turkish as well.
I don't know.
Çünkü katılımcılarımızın büyük çoğunluğu zaten Türk.
Peki, patronun ilçeden aldım şeyim, işareti zaten. Evet, çok teşekkürler. But do you have any?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, thank you. So, evet, sabah geliyorken metroda, Beyoğlu tarafından 14 dakika sürdü. Böyle tabii müthiş bir hareketlilik, koskoca İstanbul kentinin altından hızla geliyorsun. İnsanlara baktım biraz, mobilite zirvesine geliyorum. Yani Hakan Doğu çok iyi bir şey yakaladı bence tema burada. Bu mobilite meselesi gerçekten çok önemli. Çünkü buna göre Türkiye'yi, Avrupa Birliği'ni, otomotiv sektörünü, yani uygarlığın hareketlilik ile sınavı nereye doğru gidiyor görelim ki, değil mi? Ona göre de bir yere oturtalım önerim. İnsanlar sadece metro vagonunda hızla bir yerden bir yere gitmiyorlardı. Aynı zamanda ellerindeki telefonla başka bir hareketlilik içinde herkes. İşte banka hesabıyla ilgilenen var, bir şey okuyan var, sosyal medyada bir şeyler yapan var. Yani hareketlilik insan uygarlığının bu alan zaman, yani space time continuum anlamında alan zaman sürekliliğinde aslında insanlık uygarlığını işte ateşle beraber, o duman vesaire ve tekerlekle beraber hep ileriye götürmüş ve de aslında tüm jeopolitiği de etkilemiş bir konu. Jeopolitik, otomotiv sektörü veya herhangi bir sektör açısından artık önemli değil, hep önemliydi. Sadece jeopolitiğin şirket yönetimindeki alan ve zaman sürekliliğindeki varoluşu, sürati, etkisi değişti. Artık çok daha hızlı. Yoksa hep vardı tabii ki. Yani petrol bağımlı sanayinin gelişmesiyle beraber otomotivde petrol etrafında dönen tüm savaşları veya değişik diplomatik egzersizleri, oyunları düşünün. Sonuna kadar jeopolitik otomotiv sanayi açısından veya şu uzay yarışı başladığı zaman Sovyetler Birliği ile Amerika Birleşik Devletleri arasında o teknolojilerin nasıl uygulandığı, aynı zamanda mobiliteyi gezegen yüzeyinde ilgilendiren tüm sektörlere bakalım. Muazzam bir tabii orada yine jeopolitik, jeoekonomi var, jeostrateji var. Bu hareketlilik sadece fiziksel alanda değil. Yani uygarlığın doğduğu alanlara bakalım. Yani uygarlık havzaları sadece tarım değil, hareketlilik açısından da büyük olasılıkla büyük nehirler, işte Nil Vadisi, Mezopotamya, Indus, Yangtze içinde buralarda doğmuş uygarlık veya Akdeniz, bir kıtalar arası bir otoyol, bir yol veya işte Osmanlı İmparatorluğu'nun gelişmesiyle Avrupa'nın en batısındaki oluşmakta olan siyasi güçleri okyanuslarda hareketliliğe iten nedenler sonuna kadar hem bir hareketlilik hem zaman ve alan algısının değişimi ve bununla beraber gelişen teknoloji ve tabii müthiş bir jeopolitik var. Ama bugün yani bir şirket yönetiminde, yönetim kurullarımızda da hep görüyoruz veya işte değişik alanlarda ki kararlarda eskiden örneğin işte marketing, işte insan kaynakları, işte cari nakit akışı gibi konuların yanı sıra bir de jeopolitik tartışılırdı. Şimdi o tartışılan jeopolitik eskisi gibi orta veya uzun vadeli değil, bizzat o nakit akışının ana eksenlerinden biri haline geldi. Dolayısıyla gerçekten önemli bir füzyon içindeyiz. Jeopolitik ile mikroekonominin, şirket yönetiminin, kurumsal yaşamın, şahıs olarak, bireyler olarak bizlerin yaşamıyla ilgili olarak bir alandayız. Şimdi böyle olunca Yani Türkiye gibi bir ülkede tabii ki Türk şirketler, işte TOG olsun, diğer uluslararası iştirakli tüm otomotiv sektörü veya muazzam yan sanayi hepsi vurgulamak gerekiyor. Yani bütün bunları yöneten yöneticiler hepsi çoğu ehil kişiler, liyakatli kişiler, piyasayı inceliyorlar. Kritik ham maddelerle ilgili stratejileri var, teknolojiyle ilgili var, Ar-Ge projeleri var. Yani biliyorlar tabii ne yapmaları gerektiğini. Yani o konuda ahkam keser durumda olmak istemem. Lakin bütün bunların 5 yıl sonra, 10 yıl sonra nereye gideceği sorusu bundan 10 yıl öncesine göre çok daha hızlı bir alan zaman sürekliliğini ilgilendiriyor. Ya işte fütürizm vardı ki Mehmet senin önemli 187. uzmanlık alanın değil. Gerçekten çok, yani çok o konuda çok iyidir kitapları bu arada Mehmet Öğütçü'nün, arada reklam. Ama yani gerçekten o fütürizm aslında prezentizm oldu. Bugünü ilgilendiren konular oldu. Çünkü bugünkü kararların etkisi ve yaşam evresi bizzat o kararları alanların o görevlerdeki veya işte biyolojik varlıklarındaki gezegen üstündeki zamanı ilgilendirir hale geldi. Konuları ötelemek, uzağa atmak çok zor. Şimdi böyle olunca tabii Avrupa Birliği, işte Türkiye otomotiv sanayi gibi konulara baktığımız zaman evet çok kısa vadede bir takım şeyler düşünebiliriz. Aman Trump yönetimini iyi kollayalım, bakalım onun etkilerinin türevleri ne olacak transatlantik ilişkilerde? Acaba Avrupa Birliği'nin uygulayacağı politikaların Trump yönetimi üzerindeki etkisi bizde ilgilendirir mi? Acaba biz daha fazla Çin'den yatırım çekebilir miyiz? İşte Çin'den çekeceğimiz yatırımlar bu sefer tabii ki devlet ve destekli, sadece sanayi politikası açısından değil. Dünyanın en büyük 4 bankası da Çin Bankası. Dolayısıyla bir devlet destekli, finans destekli gelişmiş bir sanayinin Batı pazarlarına Türkiye üzerinden girmesinin önü başka türlü de kapatılabilir mi? Bir sabah bir uyanırız, bambaşka yeni tarifelerle bu bizzat Türkiye karşılaşabilir mi? Veya Türkiye bunlarla karşılaşmamak için Orta Doğu'da bir takım alışveriş ilişkilerinde bunu başka bir noktaya getirebilir mi? Bütün bunlar gerçekten birbiriyle bağlantılı sorular. Ama yapmak gereken ki Türk yatırım ortamına belki daha sonra girmek isterim. Yani onunla ilgili de birkaç şeyim var bu konuyla
Biraz
ilgili.
süremizi kısalttılar.
Evet,
3
öyle
dakikamız
mi?
kaldı.
Aha, öyle mi?
Ve,
o zaman durdum.
Evet. Burada belki şu soruyu sorabilirim sana Bahadır.
Evet.
Şimdi bir sabah uyanırız diyorsun, hiç beklenmedik bir kararla karşılaşabiliriz. Şöyle bir senaryoyu hayal edebilir misin? Avrupa Birliği diyor ki, zaten bizim araba sanayimiz çökme şeyine geldi, zarardayız. Macaristan'a Çinliler girdiler, işte başka ülkelere de hedefliyorlar. Çinler gelip Türkiye'de üs kurarlarsa bu iki araç ve Türkiye üzerinden Avrupa Birliği'ne araba satmaya kalkışırlarsa biz bunu durdururuz arkadaş. Hatta gümrük birliğini gözden geçiririz. Derler mi bunu?
Bunu demezler kolay kolay çünkü başka alışverişler var. Bir de tabii yani yapay zeka devrimi o kadar hızlı değiştirmekte ki varoluşu, bu sorular yanıtını bulmadan önemini kaybedebilir. Yani akıllı kent teknolojileri, hareketliliğin kent içinde, kentler arasındaki tanımı ve yeni tabii yani nükleer füzyondan tutalım, işte nesnelerin interneti, belki acayip yani işte uzay bilim kurgu filmlerini görüyoruz. Havada birçok alet var değil mi? Star Wars'ta da görüyoruz, işte diğerlerinde de. Uçan dronlar, işte uçan araçlar, şunlar hiçbiri çarpışmıyor. Çok hızlı gidiyorlar. Niye? Çünkü bugünkü bilgisayar sistemi buna müsait değil ama kuantum bilgisayarı geldi. Bunu yönetebilir hale gelecek sistemler. Bu da belki bir takım gururlara göre 5, bir takım gururlara göre en fazla 10 yıllık bir gelişme. Şimdi bütün bunların olacağı bir dönemde bunlardan korkmaktansa ülkenin yatırım ortamını, demokrasi, insan hakları, özgürlükler, yargı reformu, doğru düzgün bir makroekonomi yönetimi de yönetişimi aynı zamanda kurumsallığıyla beraber ve tabii ki kalkınma politikalarıyla güçlendirebilecek bir Türkiye, geri kalan her şeyle özel sektörünün zaten atılganlığıyla, girişimciliğiyle bunları çözer. Buna rağmen de çözen şirketler çok olacak. Ama tabii hani ülkeden bahsediyorsak başarı formülü bu hareketlilik içinde çok da değişmiyor. Güçlü demokrasi ve iyi ekonomi yönetimi olmadan bunları tartışıyor olmak doğru olmaz.
Evet. I think we will respect our timeline, but I want to get one clear message from you, Bo, because at the end of this meeting, perhaps we should issue a 10-point action plan for Turkey especially on how to address these challenges effectively. What will be your one critical, foremost important message for such an action plan?
I mean, first, I think that automotive is very, very important for any industrial country. if you take some of the worst cases, Australia used to have a very, very vibrant auto economy, and it closed because of the Chinese. I would say in Russia, the Chinese now have 50% market share, but not in producing vehicles in Russia. So I think for Turkey, what I have seen, we have a very, very good location. We have a growing market. We have good skills. And if I were government or if I were companies in Turkey, I would protect that.
Bahadır, one clear message.
Ve access to international finance. Uluslararası finansa erişim için ne gerekiyorsa yapmak gerekir. Zaten onun listesi ile tüm konuştuğumuz konular aşağı yukarı örtüşüyor.
Before concluding, I want to say a couple of words. I will eat up from our time, if you don't mind, so that we will be going to lunch a bit late. Clearly, not only Turkey, but the whole world is looking for how to position in the world, new world system, new world order. To do that, I think you need to have a future vision, not only in mobility, but also in your economic strategies, competitiveness, sustainable development, energy, food, water, everywhere. Technological superiority is the name of the game. And for Turkey, you need an integrated strategy covering all these areas, not only one focusing on mobility, human rights, development, and EU relations, geopolitical positioning. And for that as well, you don't need to go 2030, 35, 2050. It's too far. We don't need that. We need to start the future discussion and actions now, starting now. And I think the longest you could go is 3 years from now, so 2028 vision. And what are the main elements and the legs of this vision? I think such discussions organized by SMI and Forbes are critical, and we are grateful for that. And I suggest that you should have follow-up actions, follow-up meetings on this issue, to which we should all contribute. And I would like to conclude our session. Thank you, also Ilkay, and sorry for eating up 1 minute 53 seconds.